Up next on Human Services Forum, depression. Is it merely the blues, or are the symptoms a desperate call for help? We'll sort it out as we begin a series of discussions about human behavior and its impact on our quality of life. And is your child really ready for school? Check your list against ours before the school bell rings. Human Services Forum begins right now. Hello and welcome to the Forum. Just how common is depression? It affects 121 million people worldwide and is the leading cause of disability and affects all genders, ages, backgrounds, cultures, and countries. Today, we begin a regular series of discussion on what's in our heads and how grief, trauma, and rites of passage even can shape how we feel about ourselves and the world at large. Elaine Roberts is founder of Still Standing, a suicide survivor support group, and she's joining us to share her insights through what she's learned with survivors, other survivors, what she shares from her own experience, and how depression can weave into a lot of this, not always, but it can be a very serious consequence of not really being able to talk and communicate, whether you're the person feeling it or the person who's observing the behavior.
Oh, absolutely, Jan.
Yeah.
Talking about your feelings is extremely important, and yet we talk, but then what do we say? It's important to talk about what is really going on, and people want to do that with other trusted people, and that's a good idea, but we do have to talk about any feelings, especially if they're ones of depression and ones that might be life-threatening.
Right, right. And being able to find a way to do that, because that's the hardest part, is getting through that wall and being able to say it's okay to talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we want to remove the stigma
Right.
from mental illness, from depression, from suicidal thoughts, because the more we remove the stigma, the more we will talk about it, like we talk about cancer, heart disease. We can talk about depression and suicide and help prevent the loss of lives.
Yes, which is not only, it's devastating and it's happening a lot. Let's take a look, just for our audience, on some of the symptoms of depression that might actually be of help to someone who's observing behavior of others or even of themselves. We had put together a list of these symptoms, and then we started with sleep, because that is something that can be disrupted for a lot of reasons, but noise isn't necessarily the only reason.
Right, but the lack of sleep or too much sleep is something that it could be a sign of depression. It's the ability to concentrate on things that typically were easy to concentrate on before. Being more distracted is a symptom. Constant negative thoughts, not good. We all have negative thoughts from time to time, but where it's constant is the key word with that.
And you can't control them.
That's correct.
Such, yeah.
Right. And there is even something called cognitive disorder, and that can be treated with therapy, but where you only can think and say negative things. And so there is help for that as well. Appetite, you eat too much, you don't eat enough. That it's really the extremes. Your mood, if you see a mood change where you typically had a happy person and now they're not, and they usually were social and want to be alone. So if there's a change of mood, for many men it can be anger, outbursts, but for all it can be irritability, where someone before was not that way and they are now. Reckless behavior, there's just a sense that it doesn't matter what I do. They really don't care anymore. So now they are doing things that are reckless. And where you question the value of life. Because we believe that it's an instinct to want to live. But for those that are extremely depressed, suffer from chronic depression and other things, they really do not want to live anymore. They start to question the value of life because they feel so badly inside. It doesn't matter how successful how beautiful, how talented, what socioeconomic area of, of lifestyle they have. It happens to all people, all families. And then, of course, you need to look at family history and see if you have that in your family and talk about it up front, because if you have a history of depression and or suicide, it really needs to become something that's not hidden, but talked about so that you know the signs so that you can help your family members.
So how can we talk about it? I know we can talk about it some here. It's still not the easiest subject to discuss, but it's important because it can be a matter of life and death, and those are things that people need to understand and be able to accept and move forward with.
Yes.
What can they do?
Well, knowing the signs is what's extremely important. And we just talked about some of the depression. Now, when everyone experiences some sadness, that's normal behavior, and that can be 2 to 3 days. It might be a week. It depends. When it's over 2 weeks and these feelings last, and then you need to look at getting professional help, to seek the help of a therapist, and especially if there is any indication that they want to take their life. Is there any talk of, I'm not worth living, I don't need to be here anymore? Through drawings, writings, if you see anything, you cannot wait. You cannot really wait even for that therapy appointment that you made, and then you need to really, there you can call 911, and there are actually police officers that are trained in CIT who know how to handle situations like this. Let's say if you have an adult or someone that's become outraged and you need help, then ask for that particular officer and they'll come and help you. But the main thing is to get them into therapy when you start to see the signs before it becomes an explosive or fatal situation.
All right. And there's also the medical doctor, too. There may be some other causes that could be underlying the behavior as well. And they can do the referrals, too.
Yes, they can.
Yes.
It's just important not to put it off once you start seeing the different signs.
Right. And so there is access. We had put up on the screen a couple of hotlines people can call. There is a website that can give you information and more resource information called ineedalighthouse.org for people who want to learn more about depression and suicide prevention. And you'll find these very helpful when you have a little time to sit down and look at it. But the 911 is certainly important because you're right. If they're really on the edge, you just need to do something.
Right.
And the fact that there are people who are trained to deal with this is a very good thing to know, because at that point in time, the person making that call is feeling pretty despairing too.
Yes, yes, they are. And and it's to not wait. The thing that you can do is, if you think that someone is thinking about suicide, you need to ask that question directly. Are you thinking about suicide?
That's hard to ask somebody.
That's hard to ask, and yet it may be a relief for them to actually have someone ask them that. If they say no, then it doesn't mean for you to stop paying attention, but they have said no. If they say yes, the second question is, do you have a plan? If they have a plan, you cannot leave them for a moment, because it only takes minutes. Other members can be in the house, and that person can go into another part of the house and take their life. It can happen quickly.
Yes, and it does happen.
And then it affects, obviously, that person does not get to fulfill all of their wonderful abilities and enjoy their life. But the rest of the members of the family and friends and community, it's far-reaching. It's very traumatic for them as well. And while they believe they are killing their pain, and that's what they're thinking, they really are just passing that pain on to everyone that cares about them. And that is something I don't think they realize.
No. And you see this with the group that you have founded and have learned a lot from the people who have come into this group.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the group is, the feelings are raw, you know, and most of the people in the group are less than a year. And for me, it's been 8 years since losing Kyla. So I remember that first year very well, and how it's tough to be in your own skin. And so we also have 2 therapists with us from First Colonial Psychotherapy Services. So because it's a group that's suffered such trauma, having the therapist there is very important. But it's a support group. They come in, they talk, and then they realize there are other people who have those same feelings. They feel like they're abnormal feelings, but they're actually normal in this situation.
Yeah, and that's so important to have somebody that you feel, so you don't feel so alone.
Well, you're right. You know that there are other people who feel the same, that you are not alone, because guilt is such a huge problem. I mean, there are the different stages of grief. And we'll be talking about those in the following months. But guilt is a big one. Yes. And speaking of which, yes, the stages of grief, we have holidays that are coming up. There are a lot of things that people will be dealing with for any number of reasons. But the grief is a very, very difficult, painful mountain to climb. But we'll hopefully have some thoughts, ideas, and resources for people who are dealing with the pain so that they can move on and improve their quality of life and of those around them. So, Elaine, thanks. This is just the beginning. Yes, it
I think of some very good information. So we'll see you again.
All right, that sounds great. If we were just remember September 10th.
Yes.
Is our World Suicide Prevention Day.
Okay.
And all over the world at 8 p.m., people will be putting a candle in the window to remember a loved one.
And that's www.iasp.info. My error on the typo. If you want more information about that particular day. Thank you, Elaine.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We appreciate all of your information and insight. Well, don't go away because school is about to start, but do your little ones have all they need to start off on the right foot? We'll have a helpful checklist for parents when we come back, so don't go away.
Have you heard? The U.S. Treasury is phasing out paper checks for Social Security, VA, and other federal benefit payments and going electronic. If you currently receive federal benefits by paper check, you will need to switch to direct deposit or to the Treasury recommended Direct Express Debit MasterCard. If you plan to apply for federal benefits soon, you'll want to decide which electronic payment option is right for you. Visit godirect.org to learn more or to make the switch today.
What have your children been doing this summer? Well, is he or she ready to enter the classroom? Sarah Sturtzing is Early Childhood Programs Coordinator for Norfolk's Ready by 5, and she is full of tips and ideas to get your child in shape for the school year. And we're not just talking about exercise or what have you, but we have supplies, we have immunizations, we have really cool things that she always brings great props. So, Sarah, thanks for coming on board and getting people revved up for the beginning of the school year.
It's only a few weeks away.
That's right.
Very
and
exciting.
just make sure that, you know, your kids are really where they need to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's that time of year when summer is winding down, and for children who have never been to kindergarten, it's that time to start looking at what kids are expected to be able to do when they enter the schoolhouse doors, as well as what you physically need to have done to get them registered for kindergarten. The earlier a child's enrolled, the better they're going to be, and
they can still do that,
most
right?
successful, absolutely. The Office of Compensatory Education at Norfolk Public Schools is actively up and running right now, accepting kids who need to enroll. And there's some items that people need to do that. in that effort. And we have, at the City of Norfolk, we've got a list up on our website that looks like this. And basically, you know, they need to have a physical, they need to have their shots, they need to have their Social Security card and all of the paperwork that you need, as well as your address, something to identify where you live, to register them. But doctor's appointments take time, and so it's very important that people go ahead and get those appointments, because a child's going to be successful starting on time. Kids who might not already be prepared and ready, if they start late, there will be a whole month of lag time to get them up and running in kindergarten.
Oh, that snowballs, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It starts a downward spiral, and we want them going on an upward trajectory.
Well, good. So you've got the supply list, which is given out, I believe, for the parents
to get. Schools each have their own supplies that they require. So it's most important to call your neighborhood school, and you should do that anyway. A child who's never been to the school or in the school should go and visit. And almost every single elementary school in the city of Norfolk right now is doing open houses, as well as you can just make an appointment. It makes your child feel more secure when they enter the schoolhouse, but the school is also better prepared to receive them.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so much better for them to be able to see what their classroom is going to look like, what their desk is, where their desk is located, you know, the hallways and all that good stuff.
Well, developmentally speaking, when we're talking about children being ready for school, it is more than just having the supplies and the immunizations. It's about them being prepared mentally, emotionally, and certainly intellectually. And some of these are milestones in a child's life that that you can certainly take a look at and say, okay, what are some of the things that a child should be, or should, I don't like to use that word, but as a measuring stick, what should they be ready to do?
Well, you know, it's also a differentiation. A lot of parents think that their children, by being able to sing their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, know their alphabet. So that's not the case. It might show that your child can sing a song. However, when you're everyday life, you should constantly be talking, engaging, and showing your child letters and numbers and shapes and colors. So,
in context.
In context. So when you're in the grocery store and they're in the cart, you need to be pointing out different things or asking them to find what a box of cereal is. Now that may sound very, very low level, but it is an ability for them to be able to identify familiar objects and the shapes of those objects. A box of cereal is a big rectangle, and you know, a Cheerios box is yellow, and those types of things. But it's important for parents to be building their literacy, building their vocabulary, helping their children to be able to identify. They can absolutely be able to count 5 to 10 different objects, and they need to be able to touch them and count them. So, you know, when they're eating their Cheerios or their SpaghettiOs, or you can count the number of pepperonis on a pizza. Those types of everyday moments are always teachable moments. And I always say the bathtub is always such a great place, because they can you know, learn how to fill cups in the bathtub and put objects in the boats and the different toys that they can play with. And now you can actually buy crayons and things that they can write on the walls, so you can
washable crayons.
Yeah, absolutely. Help them build those pre-writing skills.
Yes, all those newfangled things. But you have something that has been around since, I don't know, since anybody was around. Play-Doh.
Play-Doh.
Which I was fishing out of a bag for you.
Here, have some.
Thank you.
Have some. And you can have some purple, have some green. Play-Doh is really important because it helps.
Smells just like it always did.
Yeah, absolutely. Play-Doh is really important because you can shape it, but it's also great for building those muscles. And this is called your pincer grasp, and you need this to be able to write, and you also need it to be able to cut. So you can take your Play-Doh and play with your child. I purchased this at a local dollar store. You don't have to spend a lot of money to help your child, you know, be better prepared for school. Other things that I like to talk about, and we can just play with our Play-Doh. Exactly. Your child should be able to identify his or her own name, and it's something you can just write on a piece of paper and put it on your refrigerator and talk about their name and talk about the letters of their name. They should know your name. We live in a modern age where maybe not all the parents have the same name as the child, last name, so they should absolutely be able to identify their parents' name. They should know their address. They should know the city where they live, their state. And those types of things that parents can be talking about all the time. But if they see their name every day, and they can use the letters of their own name to learn how to create new words. Even. So you can use the letters, they learn their letters, they can learn how many letters they have in their name, it can teach counting, things that are very basic. You can buy a box of magnetic letters for the refrigerator, and that is a tool that is very easy. I always bring in, usually I don't have it today, a plastic plate and a dry erase marker. Can be a great dry erase board to use to have your child beginning to write their letters, because it's a different kindergarten age than it was way back in the 70s when I entered kindergarten, and you have to know a lot more. They need to learn how to do some basic reading, basic writing, and letter and number formation.
That's right, and I guess if there are children that might be able to teach themselves, it really is difficult to do it all on their own. And having the parents involved is not only great for getting those children to learn those things, but it just helps their relationship.
Absolutely.
Which is, you know, a real foundation.
Well, and social emotional readiness is something not to forget. You know, you need to be talking about school, also the routine. It's time to start, you know, setting the alarm early, I think, and everyone getting prepared for that morning routine, eating breakfast before they go to school, and making sure that they've had enough sleep, that their clothes are ready, their bag is packed, and everyone is ready to go out the door every morning at the same time. And following simple instructions. Children should be a little more independent now. They should be able to put away their own toys and clean up their room appropriately, because when they're in school, those are things they're going to have to do. And they're going to have to follow basic one-sentence instructions.
I had to put away my Play-Doh because
and
we've run out of time.
I'm trying to make a letter, but it didn't work.
Oh, wow, but the smell really brings back memories. Thanks, Sarah. These are just nice, basic suggestions, and maybe it'll get you going. So your child will be able to enter school. Yes, and it all can be found on the Norfolk City website as well.
Yep.
So thanks.
Thank you.
And still to come, new developments in housing and transportation for seniors, and the latest on the Affordable Health Care Act is coming to a conference near you, so don't go away.
Any questions?
What kind of service plan does this come with?
Unlimited.
Can I keep my same phone number?
Absolutely.
How do I change the ringtone?
Just hook it up to your computer.
Does it have a camera? What's the warranty? Does it come in silver? Can I put my party shuffle on this? Does it have a 3.5 millimeter headset jack? You sell a lot of these?
It's the one I carry.
You ever get those phantom vibrations in your pocket?
Any questions?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Ask questions. For the 10 questions everyone should know, go to ahrq.gov.
Well, welcome back to Human Services Forum. As we promised, we have some news on the latest developments in transportation, housing for seniors, the Affordable Health Care Act. We don't have it all right now, but the reason we're talking about it is because I have John Skirvin, who's Executive Director for the for Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia, with me, and he and a group of folks, including me, are pulling together a conference, and this will be the 6th annual Aging in Place Conference. Creating livable communities in Hampton Roads. And John, tell us a little bit about when it is and why people should go.
Okay, it's October 2nd. It's during the day. People can register by calling 461-9481. It's very affordable. The registration is $15, and that does include lunch.
There you go.
But not only is it good food, it's really good food for thought. It'll be at the Chesapeake Conference Center, and there have been a lot of developments in transportation that make Hampton Roads a more livable community, and so we'll be focusing on, I think one of the sessions is how you get from here to there, and so many older people don't drive, that we're really going to be looking at the public options and how we can better work together to provide coordinated transportation. And on the housing side, the Independence Center, Steve Johnson, who's their CEO, is going to host a panel of experts talking about the barriers that we have not only in Norfolk but also across the region. That should prove to be really, really interesting.
Right. And we're talking about the disability spectrum.
Absolutely. You know, 1 in 6 families have a person with disabilities living here.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's quite a. It happens a lot, and so it's not only is it easier, how do you get into your house as a barrier, but also the affordability for housing.
Right.
On the I mentioned transportation. We're having a special presentation this year. We're hearing so much about Obamacare and Romney Care and Ryan Care. We're bringing in Jill Hankins, who is the executive director for the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and she's doing a presentation about the facts regarding the Affordable Care Act.
Great.
So it will be a chance for seniors as well as the professionals who attend to really get the straight information and not that is tainted with all the other stuff.
Right. So yes, because it's hard sometimes to get through all of that to really pull out the basics, and it's a confusing subject.
Just
complex.
Absolutely, with pros and cons. And so I think for creating a livable community, that's part of having a healthy community,
yes.
And that's part of health care and one's insurances for that.
Okay, great. So October 2nd, what's the time?
October 2nd.
That's a
right
Tuesday,
now,
by the way.
Yeah, right now registration is starts at 8 a.m.
Okay.
And then it'll be an event that would end by about 2 or so. We will have also a panel in the afternoon that is like a town hall format, and that's always great fun because it gives people a chance to ask their own questions.
Okay. So people who are, well, you just can't be afraid to ask questions because that's what this is all about. It's a chance to not only call new information that is, relevant to you or your loved ones or both of you, but also to be able to contribute to the discussion and perhaps throw in your 2 cents worth about what are some of the issues and barriers you're dealing with or people that you know, because it's not a one-way street, it's not a one-way conversation. This is supposed to be a dialogue, and this is the 6th year, and it's getting better and better.
And we hope to have, as we have in the past, at least 300 people. So there's a lot of energy that's generated, and people take this back to their own communities and use what they learn.
Okay, great. So again, the number to call would be 461-9481. 461-9481, which is that's Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia, and that is the number to call to register. You can also go online at ssseva.org. That's Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia.org. And then you can get the actual registration forms for individuals. There's some group rates. Individual ticket prices are
$15. Group rates are $12.
Okay.
So if you've got in your congregation, if you want to put a group of folks together to come, we'd be happy to do that.
Great. So really reasonable price. You get lunch included in that, some great speakers, great information, and a chance to have your say. So I don't know if it can get any better than that, John.
Well, thank you, Jan.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on board and sharing this with us. We'll be hearing more as the date draws near. So don't forget, Aging in Place, Creating Livable Communities, October 2nd, 8 to 3 p.m. at the Chesapeake Conference Center. You won't want to miss it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Bye.